Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this 2020 UN Model session for students in Ghana and West Africa. And I also like to thank the organizers of the Al Rayyan International School of Accra, Ghana, for organizing this. And I'm also very happy to welcome all participants to this session, which I think is going to be very historical and one that is very important for all of you. And I'm told that the age group attending this meeting is 13 to 19. That is a very critical age group to have, and would like to welcome everybody. As I am invited to open this very important meeting today, and as you also continue to deliberate over the following few days on the issues of the world, and doing so in a fashion that brings together all nations and representatives and delegates to deliver on key issues. I would like to also remind all of you that in search of our future and the future that we want, we have to always pivot ourselves on where we came from, but more importantly, where we have arrived at this moment in time. As you know, our world is faced by several and diverse risks at the moment, and these various risks do contribute towards shaping the future in one way or another. So the severe socioeconomic crisis that is abundant and is affecting quite a big number of our populations around the world, the diminishing trust in public institutions that are also playing out in a very, very difficult way for many people, and the increased vulnerabilities due to COVID pandemic and its management, which has shown that our global and community support and coordination has fatally failed, and that this pandemic has spread wild and has not been able to be contained in good time. And also the exasperated gender inequalities that also not only this pandemic but throughout our development challenges have also not really found a very effective solution yet, and so therefore it keeps affecting our development. And also the fragility of peace and order in many countries. The onset of the pandemic is also creating a tactical advantage to all the perpetrators of violence and also repressive governance, like the daily killings in the streets of the US, for example. And also the disruptions in elections in many countries was also caused by the pandemic, and also increasing extremism and quite a number of upheavals in several countries. 18 countries did go ahead with the elections despite the pandemic, and another 24 countries had postponed their elections in the hope that they will avoid further risk as a result of the pandemic. And also, COVID-19 has made diplomacy a very, very challenging event. Diplomacy online has proven to be very difficult in terms of finding effective negotiation and solutions, because that organic feel of building trust while sitting face to face is not there anymore. So this has really affected our work also within the United Nations and also all negotiating parties in settling conflicts. And also the pandemic has shown the world that this world is not immune from further danger, both virulent attacks anywhere that can come at any time. And this has tested our poorly organized response capacities and also our collective will to act together as mankind in terms of our national and international interests and security. And also racism, slavery, and institutional inequalities have come to light, with several institutions coming under popular scrutiny, one of them being the United Nations itself, which has not escaped this global pandemic of racism slavery, and also institutional inequalities. These are challenges that have not been effectively addressed in the past. A lot of effort was put in place, but it hasn't really worked out very well. So this is also where we are at now. And the other one is environmental crisis, which continues to plague the world. And these environmental crises are happening everywhere. The most recent being the one oil tanker that broke up off the shores of Mauritius, affecting the entire area. And there's also a ticking bomb of another oil tanker in the southern Red Sea area off the Yemeni shores and about to break open and also devastate that area in terms of environmental damage. And also, the immigration crisis have also shown another big governance and international commitments that are being abused by host governments. And these immigrations are becoming deadly, and many immigrants are also being faced with quite a lot of difficult circumstances. And also the media tyranny, especially in terms of fake news and gagging of information and informants, is also another big problem that has violated that is being violated both by governments and private sector technology innovation private sector groups that control a massive amount of personal data. And this is now allowing opportunities for hate speech to rise massively. And this has now created a new wave of communal and social conflicts. And also the disservice of education to our young who are not being educated enough to be problem solvers, and they're also not being told the truth, and so therefore managing our future is becoming increasingly challenged. We already have over 1 billion students out of school in 2020, and another 150 million people are at the brink of starvation. All this shows goes to show that education has not really addressed our international crisis. And also the never-ending rounds of conflicts that are being fought almost everywhere. If you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, the Secretary General of the United Nations called for truce during the pandemic. And while many governments and parties conflict did agree to accept, nothing was done concretely because of the pandemic in order to assure and ensure that these ceasefires are holding. So therefore, violence continues, as recent as the one between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And also the imbalances in power arrangements of the international community continue to affect our effectiveness. The United Nations has been under reform for many years, but now we're also seeing a global shift towards a new order, and this is also now complicating matters further, and this requires a very close look as well. And we also have the endless missions, UN peacekeeping missions that don't have an end date. This indicates that conflicts arise, missions go in for peacekeeping with no end date. So this is a very clear sign that we are not finding solutions to our conflicts effectively. And also we have too many and too big humanitarian responses that constantly come relentlessly, and that also I think is showing the fact that humanitarian crises are not being responded to in a way that build capacity of the communities for resilience and further taking care of themselves in the future. So we are in this perpetual cycle of humanitarian assistance. So after having looked at all these global challenges, as mentioned above, and more, it becomes a real-time challenge talking about the future we want in clear and in unequivocal ways. The future we want must be that of change, hope, and increased opportunities for the ever younger world. And also, societal values need to be reconstructed, and the future expectations of your generation need to be able to propel the world forward with optimism and fairer world to all. And not only do you have the future to own, but you also have the future to shape. Because in shaping that allows hope, fairness, transparency, participation, and freedom of growth and security, it is important to note that your role is going to be very important in that. Mankind cannot continue and should not continue on the premise of violence, conflict, and greed to achieve in power and control. There must be greater and stronger shared values that bring mankind to a higher level of collective attainment, peace, and cooperation. And I wish you my very best as you continue to deliberate on these critical issues of our world and mapping our future and the future we need and we want going forward. Thank you very much, and good luck to everybody.